All right, you're going to be my blindfold. Haley, I'm going to stand right here. You put your hands over my eyes. I'm going to close them like that. You can press a little bit harder to make sure I can't see. That's perfect. Okay, here's the idea. Haley, what I'm going to do is I'm going to deal through these cards. Now, you shuffle them yourself, right? So from time to time, I'm going to stop. And when I stop, I'm going to show the audience a card, and that card's going to have a signature on it, like this one in my hand now. This card, and then whoever chose and signed this card is going to yell out as loud as they can, "That's mine." There you go. All right, so that's one of them. That's one card. We're going to put that over there. There's a few more to go, so I'm going to deal them right down here, just like this. Now remember, you could have shuffled these, and you did. You shuffled these absolutely any way that you wanted to. And I'm just going to, never know when the cards are going to come up, so we're just going to deal through them like this. And the idea, again, is for you guys to figure out why somebody would want to do this. Haley, look over my shoulder. Does that card have a name on it?
Yes.
Can you read that signature?
Not quite.
Not quite. All right. So who signed their card not quite? Actually, just name the card.
An 8 of spades.
8 of spades. Whose is that?
Allie.
Allie, yeah, that's you yell, "That's mine." Yeah, okay, great. And then we put these cards over with those. Now that leaves 3 more cards somewhere in here, and this is about 2/3 of the deck. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to deal through those. I can't exactly see where I'm dealing, so hopefully I'm making a consistent puddle of cards here. And we're going to try to find those 3 cards. And I just want to make this a little bit more impressive. So I'm going to put one card over here. I'm going to guess that that's one of the cards that was signed. And I'm going to deal through. I'm going to guess that this was a card that was signed. Just guesses. We don't. No, I'm not going to put that one over there because too many people wanted it. I'm going to say, the anticipation is building. It could be anticipation, could be boredom. But I'm going to put that card over there, and then we're going to just say, that's all of the signed cards. I'm not allowed to deal through any more cards. Haley, you may uncover my eyes. Oh, thank you so much. Let's give her a big round of applause. You can have a seat right there. If those 3 cards are the remaining 3 signed cards, well, it's the luckiest night of my life. If 2 of them are the remaining, it's good. All right, so Michael, you signed a card right there. Yeah, there you go. That's my card. It makes it a little bit more impressive. That leaves these last 2 cards, Meredith and Jim. Oh, yeah. All right, well, this is a very cool way to be able to differentiate certain cards from the rest of the deck. And it actually goes back to an original cheating technique used by some, card cheats that's known as a punch, or putting some work in the deck. The actual work is very much like Braille. You're going to be raising a little dot that you can actually feel on the cards. So these 5 cards here have the work in them, and these are going to be forced on audience members. In the original trick, half of the deck had work in it, and the other half of the deck didn't, and then you would have cards chosen from the ones that were punched, and then they would be put into the other half of the deck. I've never really liked that. There always seems to be something too fishy about transferring cards from one half into another half, especially in such an obvious way. So I opted to just work 5 cards and then force them, because if your force is any good, nobody's going to notice. Now, the truth of the matter is, in this particular trick, in a stand-up situation, you don't even have to force the cards. What you do is you put them on the top of the deck, and then you show all of the cards as you approach the front row, and then when you bring the cards down and you say to the first person, "Take a card," you actually just hand them the top card. It's very random, and only the people that are receiving cards and a couple of people next to them can even see what's going on. The rest of the audience makes an assumption that they're taking random cards out of this spread that they've seen, because the gesture is very fair. So you say, here, all the cards are different. You take a card, and you take one, and you take one. You're just handing out the cards to people. And then you say, it doesn't matter what the cards are. I'm going to have you sign your names on them. So for them, they get the idea that any cards could be used, but the truth of it is you need those cards. Now, let's see what the work is, and I'm going to show you on one of the easier cards to see. It's easier to see this work on a red card, but you're going to have to come in super, super close. I'm going to show you that right here at the tip of that diamond, if I can get the reflection on it, you'll see a tiny little dot. It sort of looks like a dot, but it's actually poked in just a little bit. And then we're going to go up here where it's a little easier to see. Right there at the bottom of that diamond is the same kind of thing. It looks like a dot, but it is actually pushed in just a little bit. What that does, if it's pushed in from this side, it raises a dot on the back. Now you won't see this, but if you were right here, you could feel it. Now it's right there on the border. Like I said, you won't see it, but it's pushed in lightly from the front. And in this particular case, that's the preferred place to mark the cards, is at the bottom of each of those little pips in the corner. The way that it's done is that you take a dull needle. Now this particular needle right here is known as a yarn darner, so that if you have something made out of yarn, a sweater, a scarf, a blanket, something like that, that's actually knitted out of yarn, you can use this to repair any holes in it, because it's not sharp at the end. It's actually already smoothed out for you. So this is a pretty good thing to use. But if you don't have this, you can get another needle and you can just take it on some file and file off the tip of it, and that'll work really well. You can do this with a sharp needle as well, but I've found that the slightly dulled ones work a little bit better because you're less likely to push all the way through the card. That's kind of what you want to avoid. Now on this particular card, what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark it on the white space here so that you can see the procedure. Underneath it, I have put a silicone mat. Now this is not critical. You can do the same thing on a soft surface like this. You can also do it on a soft wooden surface, a natural pine wood that doesn't have a lot of dark line grains in it. So you do it on the lighter part. You can also do it there. That's the way it used to be done. But all you're doing is you're just taking the tip of the needle and you're just pushing it down just a little bit, like that, to make a bump. So I just have a bump here, and I'm being careful not to push it all the way through the card. So that's the bump. I've actually made it pretty pronounced so that you can kind of see it there. And that raises it on the back here. And I think you can kind of see it right in that spot right there. And if you can't, that's okay, because you're not supposed to see it, you're supposed to feel it. But you don't want to mark cards like that in the white spaces, because people can see those and it calls attention to itself. So that's why it's better to mark it at those pips. So what you're going to do is go underneath this one, boom, right there, underneath that one, boom, like that. And you do that on any of the cards that you're going to want to have raised bumps. Now, because of the place that those 5 cards are marked, you can feel them when you take them with your right hand underneath your thumb. So you learn to take the cards with your index finger as the gauge here, your middle finger flat underneath like that, and your thumb long. So instead of just taking the card off like this between your fingers, you're going to rest it and rub with your thumb as you take the card off. So you can actually feel exactly where it is. Now, because of the way they're marked, they're going to be in the same spot. So once you know where it is, your thumb goes right to it, and you can tell immediately when you take a card that's got a mark on it. Those cards can be distributed absolutely anywhere in the deck, and the deck can be shuffled. You don't have to know where the cards are. You do this legitimately blindfolded, so you can have somebody put their hands over your eyes if you want to. As you deal through, you feel each of the cards. You can be talking as you do this, and you're going to immediately know when you get to one of those cards just by feel that has the signature on it, so you can find them in a real simple way. Now, I'm going to give you an option that this is a major secret among card handlers and even card cheats now, that if you don't happen to have a needle or anything else to put the work in, there are very specific things that are made that can put very special work into the cards. But if you don't happen to have them and you've got a Sharpie marker, here's a great option for you. If you come in super, super close on this marker, you'll notice I have removed the clip from it. When you take the clip off, I've actually cut it right off here, so that's where it used to be attached. Underneath the clip on a Sharpie marker is a tiny dot. it, right there. Little bump of plastic. You can see it as it rotates through the light. That's it right there. That is a very, very good substitute for using a pin. I'm going to mark one of my other cards just to show you. The main problem with it is that it makes a pretty big mark. The other problem is getting it lined up exactly right. So you could take that bump, you put it in the right place, you press that Sharpie marker down, and it makes a pretty good bump and an impression there. You can also do this in your hand. If you're not terribly concerned with exactly where the cards are marked, you can lay a Sharpie marker in your hand with that little bump up like that, and by momentarily setting a card there and pressing, you put the work into it in a really natural way. Then that card can go back into the deck, and you can find that bump really easily wherever you put it. Now this one, you can see how that little bump that I put in with the Sharpie is marked. Actually, you can't see it, but there it is. It's next to the pip. It's actually next to the number 6, right after it. So you can't be exactly certain where it's going to be, but if you want to really impress the guys who haven't watched this video, just cut off the thing from your Sharpie marker, have them take any deck that they want, take any card out from anywhere. You take the cap off, you have them sign it, make sure you get the marker back and get it into position so that bump is under your thumb. Take their card, put the work into it as you pick up the deck, pop their card into the deck, and you can find that no matter how much they shuffle it. Now the main problem with doing it that way, it's only marked in one corner, so you've got to track which corner that is. But if you're a wise guy, you'll figure out how you can use that to your advantage. But this deck has been prepared the way that gamblers used to prepare their decks of cards, so that they could know exactly where every card is. Now, I don't expect you to believe me, but I'm telling you the truth for once. I swear to you that this deck is not like an ordinary deck. What's your name, sir?
Kobe.
Kobe with a K, with a C. C, Kobe. All right, so Kobe looks like a regular deck of cards, yes? Does it look shuffled to you? Do you know how to shuffle a deck of cards?
Yes.
Would you do it? Just a quick little shuffle like that, like I did? And don't drop them. Very special cards, as far as you know. That is, if you believe me. But I don't expect you to believe me. So, Kobe, what I'm going to ask you to do is to name any card that you would find. There's a full deck of 52 cards. There are no jokers in here. So just name any card.
Going with 9 of spades.
Now, that's not the card that is on the face here. Right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix the cards again. Now, this time, I'm going to mix them in kind of an unusual way where I actually weave them together like that. You just push them at the end like that, and you weave them together. And then I'm going to give them a couple of cuts. Nothing fancy, just a couple of cuts. And you said, what card?
9 of spades.
That's right, the 9 of spades, okay? So you're starting to see that maybe here, Kobe, just take a look at it. Is there anything special about that card? It's just a card, like from a regular deck of cards. So it could be that I'm fibbing to you. I could be telling you a partial truth, or not even the truth at all. But let's try again. What's your name?
Connor.
Connor.
Yes.
Connor, do you trust Kobe's shuffle?
Yes.
You do?
Yes, I do.
Perfect. It's going to make it so much easier for all of us. All right. So Connor, he named the 9 of spades. What card would you pick if I had chosen you?
The 3 of diamonds.
The 3 of diamonds. So it's not down here, because if somebody names a card that's down here, well then that makes my job super, super easy. Okay. So Connor, let's see. Let me spell your name.
Sure.
Okay. Hold your hand out like that. So that's C-O-N-N-E and then R. Right? And you said which card?
3 of diamonds.
That's the one. Yeah, that's the card that is right where you asked for it. I'll tell you what. Let's do this one more time. Who's the most skeptical in this audience? Oh, way over there. I saw a hand shoot up way over here. Hey, what's your name? Way over here. Anastasia. All right, Anastasia. Anastasia, just again, you name any card you want. What do you like?
King of Hearts.
Oh, yeah. You know, it's pretty common for women to name the Queen of Hearts. It's actually the most common card that women name. And that doesn't mean anything. The cards are still in a random order. And it's not there. I haven't looked at the face, so it's not here. No. Yeah, okay. All I'm going to do is I'm going to try to just cut right to the Queen of Hearts. Did I get it? Yeah? It could just be luck. You know, like everything that I'm saying doesn't necessarily mean I'm telling you. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hand the deck of cards out to somebody in the audience, and this is what I'd like you to do, sir. I want you to go through the cards, take one out for yourself, keep it, pass the deck to the person next to you. You know what, I'm going to have 3 of these cards selected. So let me start with the guy that has his arms crossed, because you seem to be pretty skeptical. Okay? So all I'm going to have you do is take the deck of cards, take any card out. I'm going to turn away while you do it, and I'm going to try not to look at the monitors. Just take a card out, keep it for yourself, pass the deck to the next person. He's going to do the same thing. He's going to take a card out, then he's going to pass it to the next person. That person, and I'm sorry, I don't know, man, woman, I didn't look. Yeah, there's a lady here. Okay, so you take out the third and the final card and keep it for yourself, and then just hand the rest of the cards to me.
All right, working on it.
Yeah, anytime. All right, so make sure that those cards are hidden. Somebody here has chosen an ace. One of you has chosen an ace. No, I'm not asking. I'm telling you that you know what cards you have. Yes. Okay. So one of you has chosen an ace, and you've gone for the ace of spades. Who has it? Just hand me the ace of spades. Okay, so it's skeptic number 1 has the ace of spades. All right, what I'm going to try to do, we've got 2 more to do. What I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to find a mate to one of those cards. So I have to think. It's kind of about weighing the cards more than it is about anything else. And I just sort of weigh them, and I try to find. I'm going to cut about here. Now, I don't know what that card is. I haven't looked at it. I'm going to look at it now because this is obviously not the card that was chosen. The 4 of clubs, that means somebody has the 4 of spades. Hand the 4 of spades to me. That would be you. Yeah. All right, there's one last card. What's your name? Helen. Now, Helen, that's obviously not, the 4 of spades was not your card. Now, Helen, when you went through this deck and you chose the card that you chose, did you just do it randomly, or did you look for a specific card?
I looked for one.
So you looked for the Jack of Spades.
That's correct.
All right, so now this is the weird part about this. Obviously, if you've got a special deck of cards, like this special deck of cards, if you knew exactly how special this deck of cards is, you could win absolutely any game at all. But my favorite game, obviously, is poker. And so I'm going to go for a 4 of a kind. Now, it can be anything, any 4 cards that are the same value. So I'm going to need somebody just to name. Hi, what's your name? Kaylin. Kaylin. Okay, Kaylin. It's probably just Kaylin. It's okay. I sort of surprised you by the pointing. So, Kaylin, what I'd like you to do is to name any value, all the way from ace through king. What value would you like? 6. The 6s. Okay, it's actually one of my favorite things to do, is to find the 6s. We're going to start off with just a little cut like this to shuffle them together. It looks pretty normal, like a regular shuffle, doesn't it? Okay. Now, actually, in the old days, it was okay to shuffle like this. It was okay to shuffle overhand. But I'm going to try to find those 6s, and so I am going to continue to shuffle this way, but I'm going to do it in my hands. I know it's a little strange to do that, but just a quick mix like this, and another shuffle like that. And then one more shuffle to make sure that they're completely mixed up. Let's go with this, right there. Yeah, Feels like they're pretty well mixed up. Okay, so it's Kalen. Kalen, I'm going to start dealing cards out. Now, I could deal it out for a game, but I want to keep it kind of neat here, so I'm just going to deal into a pile. Whenever you say stop, I'll just deal a card over here. Right there, I'll just deal a card over there. Okay, you get the idea, right? All right, I'm going to deal that card over here. Okay? Right there, I'm going to deal that card over there. And then just once more, because that would be 4 cards, and that would be the 4 sixes. If you've learned anything by that, it is don't play cards with me. All right, this is what's known as the Devil's Deck, and it is a specially marked deck of cards that are not marked on the backs of the cards, but are actually marked on the edge of the cards. So the markings are right here on only this one edge, and they won't make a whole lot of sense to you to begin with. Right now, you sort of see what kind of looks like Morse code. There's a single dot, a double dot, a triple dot, and a line. And they're in different places along the edge of the deck. So what I'm going to do is to describe to you the original marking system on this. And that was, you take a joker like this and you divide it up into 15 even areas. So that joker, there's one, every quarter of an inch would make sense on here. And then you use this first line to represent all the aces, then the 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s, and so on all the way through the king over here. The problem is that there's no way to distinguish. Once you get into the center here, it's kind of hard to tell the difference between a 6, 7, 8, and 9. So it's better if there's a break after the first 5 and then after the 10. And the easiest way to do that is this. I'm going to spin this around and show you that it's better to mark the deck like this. Instead of a quarter of an inch, you're going to be using 3/16, which is just a little bit narrower than a quarter of an inch. And of course, you can use metric measurements to do the same thing. But you can now see that there are bunches. There's a bunch of 5, 5, and 3. So it's really easy to tell the numbers 1 through 5, the numbers 6 through 10, and the jack, queen, and the king are going to be down there. So you make this as a template. Then what you do is you lay that template down on the table. You take whatever card you're going to mark, and in this case it's the 3 of hearts. You lay it down on that template so it just sort of is offset a little bit so you can see exactly where the marking is. And then you use a pen, black, blue, or red. Now I prefer red. I like to mark a red deck with a red pen so that if somebody sees that marking, it sort of looks like a little excess printing ink that just sort of smudged on the edge of the deck. And not on the deck, because if they look at the whole deck, they'll be able to see it. But if they look at a single card, it looks like a printing flaw, and a tiny one at that. If you're marking blue back decks, use blue ink, but it's not as convincing. The red in the red psychologically makes you think that that's just an accident and not on purpose. But what you're doing is you offset it, you use the red pen, and you mark at the 3rd position in the edge of the 3. Now, you have to distinguish between the suits. So, you're going to use the clubs, hearts, spades, diamonds order. For a club, you just put 1 dot right there on the line. For a heart, you put 2 dots next to one another, but separated enough that you can tell it's 2 dots that are right next to that line. For a spade, you use 3 dots, and for a diamond, you use a line. So, this is the 3 of hearts that we put down here. So what I do is I would take the pen, and I'm just going right on the edge of the card, the very edge of the card, so a little bit to the back, but mostly on the edge, and I'm going to go dot, dot, like that. And then I'm going to pick it up, and I'm going to look at it. Now, this is pretty hard to see, but there's the 2 dots. They're mainly on the edge of the card, so you can see them right there on the full edge of the card. There's just a little bit of ink on the back, but that's not what you're trying to get. Some cards will be better than others and have less on the back. But like I said, if you didn't know that this is coming from a marked deck and you saw those red specks on there, it would mean absolutely nothing to you. And yet that indicates to me that that's the 3 of hearts. Now, when and you've got to mark the entire deck this way. I like to mark all of the clubs first. It's easier that way. So I have everything stacked up ace through king. And then you take the ace of clubs, dot, 2 of clubs, dot, 3 of clubs, and you go line by line all the way through the whole thing. It's easier because you know you're doing single dots at that time. Then you go to the hearts and you double dot, double dot, double dot for all of those, triple for spades, and a line for the diamonds. So if you now look again at the edge of the deck, you can clearly distinguish that there are single dots, double dots, and triple dots for each of the 13 columns. And you can kind of tell what each one is. I can tell that there is that's the ace of diamonds up there, then the ace of clubs a little further down, and then here next to one another, the ace of spades on top of the ace of hearts. That's where it gets a little bit challenging, is when you have 2 cards together and those 2 marks are together, is to be able to distinguish between them. So there's spades up there, and then that's hearts really directly below it. Now, after you get all of those marked using that system, then you put the marked side close to your left thumb, and when you hold the deck in your left hand and bevel it just slightly like this, you can actually see those marks pretty easily toward yourself, but anybody at a card table would not be able to see them, and now you know what cards are coming up. That's the way that gambling cheats would use it. As a magician, we use it a slightly different way, and that is that anybody can name any card that they want to name, and I can find that card. Now, that's pretty easy because I'm going to bevel it like this with my left thumb. I'm going to pick it up in my right hand like this. When they name a card, let's just say 7 of spades. So they name the card. What I'm going to do is I'm going to find the sevens column, which is right here, and I'll turn a little bit more towards you so you can see it. And I can see that the 7 of spades is the triple dot that's right there. So all I do is I just run my left thumb on it until the triple dot is either at the top or the bottom. If I want it at the bottom, I just cut it like that, and that's the 7 of spades, and I can show it to them. But very often what I like to do is to cut it to the top. So let's use a different card. Let's go with the 9 of diamonds. So there's a line right down here, way down here near the bottom is the 9 of diamonds. I'm going to cut it so it goes to the top. So I just cut it. Then I can continue to cut and do basically a running double undercut in the hands and bringing it to the top. So that's just a cut followed by a false cut. That brings the 9 of diamonds to the top. Now I can also determine where the card is, and I can get it into a particular position as long as it's not too far from the top of the deck. So if somebody names a card that's really near the top of the deck, I try to associate it with their name or have them name a number from 1 to 10, and they would normally name a pretty easy number to do. I don't often second deal, if you've ever followed other card things that I've done, but this is one instance where I will do a second deal if I'm just a little bit off one way or the other. So let's say, for example, here's a card that's nice and close, and that would be the 4 of spades. And you can see a triple dot right there, and my estimate puts that at, I'd say 7 cards. So that would be a good one where I'd say name a number from 1 to 10. And if they say 7, it's fantastic because you're going to deal to it. So I'm going to say that the 4 of spades is 7. Let's just see if I'm right. I could also spell a name. If I know that they have 6 letters in their name, I can spell to that kind of thing. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, it was actually 8 because I can see by pushing this off that the 4 of spades is the second card from the top. And so in that case, I go to a second deal, and there's the 4 of spades. So I'll hit it at 7. Okay. Sometimes it'll come up early, and you'll have to second deal a couple of times, 1 or 2 times, and then reveal the card. That's only if you're into doing that kind of thing. Now, in addition to being able to locate any card at any time and cut to it, you can also tell what cards are missing. This is a lot more challenging, but it is one of the great things about this deck if you can find a way to do it. So I'm going to show you. I'm going to legitimately shuffle these and not pay attention to the markings. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to spread it out so I can't see the markings. So I turn it around. Oh, and the reason for having the markings only on one side is because when you demonstrate how to shuffle to somebody, you demonstrate this way, and you ask if they can shuffle like this. And if they can, you now hand them the deck with the non-marked side up, so that when they shuffle, they're not seeing any markings. If they happen to turn it over, don't grab the deck or run away from them because they're unlikely to see it. Just keep them engaged, but it's better that they see no markings. So I'm going to spread this out with no markings visible. I'm just going to yank 3 cards out of the center because it doesn't matter what 3 cards they are. I have no idea what those 3 cards are, But now I can tell you which cards are missing. I just can't tell you their order. So what I like to do for this revelation is to start from the top. So I look, and I'll show you what I'm looking at. There are the 4 aces. I can see very clearly that all 4 aces are in the deck. There are the 4 twos. I can see very clearly, even though those 2 are close to one another, there's a card separating them up here. I now see that there are only 3 threes. One of them is missing. So that's the first thing I do, is I just gesture like this while I'm squaring it, and I try to find the first value that I can see that's missing. And I just go, you know, I know one of you has a 3. And now I look to see which 3 is gone. It's the 3 of hearts. So I don't know which one over here is the 3 of hearts unless I read the markings, and it's this one. Just happened to be that one on the top. So here's the 3 of hearts. So I can call off the first card, and then I just take that card, and I glance at it very quickly and try to find those marks so that when I put it back in, it's facing the right way. That's going to help me later. Plus, I won't see it missing anymore from here. Okay, so that first one I'm able to get away with pretty easily, and then for the second one, I've got another tactic, because again, I'm going to have to look at those edges, but there's got to be a reason why I'm looking at the deck. And so I say, what I'm going to try to do is to cut to the mate of your card. Now, down here on the bottom, I don't think that this is the mate to your one of your cards, but it could be. And as I'm doing that, I'm looking to see what's missing, and I'm looking here at the 6th column, and I can see there are only 3 of them, and that the 6 of diamonds is missing. The line is missing. That's diamonds. But while I'm looking at that column, I can also find the mate to the 6 of diamonds that's missing, which is the 6 of hearts, which is right there, very near the top. And I say, well, let me just give it a little feel here, and I'll see if I can cut to a card that is the same color and value as your card. Now, I don't know what that card is. That's what I tell them. I do. I say, I don't know what that card is, but is that the mate to one of your cards? Now, again, I don't know who has the 6 of diamonds, but I know somebody does. That person reacts, and then I look and I go, oh, so your card must be the 6 of diamonds, as though I'm seeing this for the first time. So now the 6 of diamonds appears to be this card right here. Okay? So same thing. So I'm just going to pick it up. I'm going to look just to find that little red mark on there. I'm going to make sure it goes in the right way. And then the last card is very similar, but I don't really want to go through, you know, all of the messing around of cutting and finding it. What I want is another kind of a shock revelation for them. So I say, now I know that this can't be the mate to your card, and as I'm doing that, I'm looking for the next one that's missing. Now, I've already found it, because all I have to do is glance down pretty quickly, and I can count the rows. The only difficult time in counting a row is right here. Let's take a look at, this would be the 6, 7, 8, the 8 right there. If you look at that, and it's hard to see depending on the resolution of your screen, right there are 2 8s that are close together. That would be hearts and spades. And so you've got to be careful if you initially think, oh, there's only 3 marks there, you've got to double check to make sure that 2 marks aren't on top of one another. And in that case, they are. So I move down here, and I found that the jack of diamonds is missing. So what I do is I say, you know, I know that this isn't the mate to your card, but it might be the same color. Oh, it is the same color, but your card wasn't a 6, and it certainly wasn't a 6 of diamonds, but you have the jack of diamonds. And then they show you their card, you pick it up, and you put it back into the deck so that all the marks are facing the same way. So now, there's one last piece to this that I added, but I'll tell you that it involves sleight of hand. It involves the bottom deal. So again, this isn't going to be a perfect fit for absolutely everybody, but you can also do this same technique to bring 4 cards to the top and just reveal them. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to control any 4 of a kind to the bottom of the deck while I'm doing Pharaoh shuffles. Now, it's not a Pharaoh shuffle technique, but to really, really smart card players and magicians, they'll think that it involves a Pharaoh shuffle, but then they'll realize, well, you randomly shuffled the deck, so it doesn't make any sense. What you're actually doing is separating the deck at those 4 cards to make it look like you're Pharaoh shuffling, and you're bringing them to the bottom. Here's the explanation. It's very simple. So we name any value of cards. Let's say the 7s. I have no idea where the 7s are. They haven't been involved in anything up to this point. So all I'm going to do is now concentrate myself on the 7s. The 7s column is right here, and I can easily see that they're pretty nicely distributed, and one of them is pretty close to the center, and that's the 7 of spades. Doesn't matter to me which one it is. Right now I'm just looking for 7s. I'm going to get them all. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the deck, and I say I'm going to shuffle the cards together. What I actually do is I cut the deck so that a 7 is on the bottom. See that? And now I'm not worried about what happens with the other packet. I just shuffle it together. I square them up, and I say I'm not just going to shuffle once. I'll shuffle a few times. So now I cut the next 7 that I can find. So there's a 7 on the bottom. I cut the next 7 that I can find that's close to the center. And again, it doesn't matter which one it is. And then all I have to do is make sure that those 2 cards interweave next to one another. And it doesn't matter which one's on the bottom, which one's above, but there is no card in between those 2 7s. So now I've controlled 2 of them to the bottom. I'm going to do exactly the same thing for the next 7 that's closest to the center. But in this case, I have a 2-card possibility here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to shove it close to those 2 cards and make sure that it's the only thing either between them, above them, or below them. So now all 3 of those 7s are together. That leaves me one final 7, and that's up here. Now it's closer to the top, but it still looks like the center. Same thing here, but I've got all of this opportunity, so I just push it in like that. I make sure it's the only thing going into the bottom, and then I lever the rest of the stock up here near the top. I take no chances on that last one. So I now have all 4 7s brought to the bottom while I'm doing apparently faro shuffles, but I'm really just locating them. Now you can use that same technique, like I said, to bring them to the top. Obviously, when you're looking through here, instead of cutting a card to the bottom, you just leave it on the top. You watch your faro shuffles on the top, and then when you're done with those, you can then do a false cut and deal those out. But what I do is I bottom deal those wherever somebody tells me to stop. When they say stop, I bottom deal the next card. I don't show it, but I put it over there. They say stop again, I bottom deal that card, and so on and so forth until I bottom dealt all 4 of the 7s or whatever they called for. And that's what I like to finish this particular demonstration with, and then put that deck away and go on to something else. So we have 6 envelopes. See, the last person doesn't get a choice, and so I'm just going to take the last envelope. I'll be the person without a choice. It's just the way that it is. Hi.
Hi.
How you doing?
Great.
Good. Take an envelope. Yeah, hi. Take an envelope. All right, good. Same thing there. Yeah, take an envelope. Yeah, you take an envelope. You sure you want that one? Mm-hmm. All right, and take an envelope. Good. Now, everybody's left me this envelope right here, but before we do anything else, would you like to change for my envelope? No. You sure? All right. Ooh? No? All right, so I get this envelope no matter what it is. Okay. All right, somebody's going to get a chance to win some big money here. You guys can all step forward just a little bit so everybody can see you a little bit better. My envelope goes right here on the table. I promise you I will not touch it. Somebody else will deal with that. Okay, so let's see. Who shall we start with? Well, let's start down here. Go ahead and just tear open the envelope. Be careful you don't tear what's inside. You can just pop the envelope open. Everybody can pop theirs open, but don't take anything out of it yet. Go ahead and take it out. Yeah. And let's see what you got. Ooh, open it up. That looks like money.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Looks like it. Not the big one.
It's big money!
Big money. Big money.
We already have a winner. Well, thank you very much. You can have a seat. And what did you find in your envelope?
I think I got big money too.
Let's take a look. Yeah.
I do. Big money.
Ooh, big money! Wow, deja vu. Yeah, you can have a seat. Here, take your envelope with you so it doesn't get confused with mine. Let's see, what did you get?
Big money.
Did you get big money?
Yeah.
I'm experiencing deja vu all over again. You can sit down. Yeah, thanks. What did you get? Reach in there.
Big money. See if it's any different.
That's the same thing. Take your envelope and the money, and there you go. I sense a trend.
Yep.
Yeah.
I got some big money.
Pretty sure that's what's going to happen. Let's give those 5. But you know what, Haley? I feel really, really bad.
Yeah.
You can't have what's in my envelope, but they eliminated you right like that. I'm not allowed to touch my envelope, so Haley, come on up here. Open up my envelope. reach inside and hand me what they didn't choose.
Okay.
And for your work, you get to keep the envelope.
Awesome.
That's yours. Luckiest night of my life. Yeah. Nice. All right, here is another version of Bank Night. And if you've been following this course, you know that Bank Night has come up before, and I've said it before, I'll say it again. I'm not a big fan of the plot of Bank Night, at least the way that it's normally presented, because the whole idea behind it is that everybody in the audience is a loser, and you get to win. And I really don't like, portraying myself that way, that they're all going to lose. So I always try to figure out some way where they don't get the big prize, but they get something. And that something is kind of fun for them. So in this case, I have gone with the theme of big money, as you saw in the presentation. So the first thing you're going to need to obtain are some large bills. And these are pretty readily available. You can search for these on the internet. It's play money. And really, really easy to find and very inexpensive. But if you're in a country that doesn't necessarily make these, you can either make your own or come up with your own theme on how you want to do it. But this particular size is kind of a standard size. You can also make these yourself. You have to be able to scan in and do the artwork and all that kind of stuff. One of the nice things, one of the advantages of being able to make them yourself is that you can put your face on it and your contact information. That's normally what I do whenever I make big bills for myself. These, of course, just store-bought. So you want to fold them in a particular way that makes them small enough to go into a number 1 coin envelope. That's a nice small size. And you're going to take a few of those and tuck those into the envelopes and then seal those. Make as many of those as you want for the number of people on stage, plus 1. That's going to be the one that you end up with as the leftover one. And the one that you end up with is actually going to end up stuck to the large envelope. So right here is the actual envelope that was left over. There's a piece of double stick tape underneath it. In this particular case, it's hidden right up there, the top of that $sign. So what I've done is I've gone onto the internet and just grabbed some artwork. You can create your own again if you want to. I added a little bit to this. The major part that I added were these large $signs. That one in particular is in exactly the location that I need to conceal the double stick tape. So double stick tape is there. So this envelope that was stuck on there contains one of those large fake $1 bills. Now, you're also going to need your real big money, real money, so $100 here or whatever is a large denomination for you, and another envelope. And this is an important part. Do not put that into this envelope and seal it until you're ready to do the show, because you don't want to get it confused with the fake money in any way. So that, I always leave that to the very last thing. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be inserting that into a particular slot that's been put into this foam core. So this is regular foam core. You just purchase this at an art supply store. And then you cut a slot in it. Now, it's going to be a real challenge to see where the slot is, so I'm just going to kind of run my fingers along the edge of it. In my case, it's here at an angle down to that corner. It's the proper width and depth for this envelope to go into there. And of course, when the envelope is closed, it sets just down inside it. Now you're going to cut that slot out and then take some cardstock and glue it on the front and back of the foam core. So you have an opening in there that you've obtained by cutting it out first and then resurfacing the foam core. So that's going to go into there. So I'm now going to prepare the $100 bill. The $100 bill is just folded over. I always like to leave the front part of it on the outside. That's folded over, sealed, and then that's going to go into that corner. And the way it goes into the corner has to be the same way that the other envelope is going to lay on top. So I know I'm going to lay the envelope on top like this with the opening toward me right at the corner. And so that's how I put this into that slot. That goes into here. Now that slot matches up with a slit that's been put in the envelope in this corner. Same place it's going to go. So that when it's slid inside, it basically becomes a loading tray right through there. You can see, yeah, both of the things match up. There's the envelope hidden inside. And that corner for me is here at the top so that that envelope stays in there the whole time that I'm handling this and never gets noticed right down there. Plus, I can put my hand over it if I need to show it around at all so that my hand hides the fact that it is there. And that's the same place that that double stick tape is. Now I'm going to take all of the other envelopes that have the fakes in them and put them just loose inside the large envelope. That large envelope is then just set to the back somewhere so that when the game starts, I can come out, I can show the big money sign. Then I turn the whole envelope over, and this is one of those cases where it's a good idea to hide that as it gets turned over. Just press on the sides and dump out all of those envelopes, and then turn it back so that it becomes a tray with that corner right where I need it. All of these go onto here, and as long as you don't put one right down there on that sticky tape, it's fine. You can have everybody come in and grab any one of them until there's a single envelope remaining. And then I always push it over here so it's close to where the sticky tape is. I say, all right, that's my envelope. Does anybody want to trade? So it's not stuck on there yet. That way, if they want to trade, you trade them out, put their envelope in the same place. And then after you get down to it's definitely yours, then I just put my finger on it and I slide it over the tape and I press it very lightly. And it's right here at the edge. See? Right there. So it's ready. It looks like it's ready to dump off, but it's stuck on there, but nobody knows that. I now reach over here, and all I have to do, and this is from the back, is just tilt this up so that it's in the same position and give a little shake. The inside envelope drops out. Then I just take this, and I'm going to grab that same spot. I just take this and I set it to the back, and that gets rid of the envelope that has the fake money in it and delivers me the $100 bill. And in this case, since all of the envelopes are clean and there really is only one thing in it, it's kind of nice to let the spectator open that up for you so that you can show that it's really, really clean and somehow you were left with the only one that has real cash. Yeah, okay, so Casey, I asked you to make a list of interesting words, any random words. You chose them yourself, is that right? Now, don't expect them to trust you, okay? So come on over here. Do you have that list with you?
Yes.
Now, I haven't looked at the list. Is that right?
Correct.
And I asked you to make, maybe a dozen or so words. Did you count how many that you made there?
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it doesn't matter. I don't need to know how many.
Okay.
Okay, you could have made more, you could have made fewer. That's entirely up to you, a dozen or so words. And like I said, these were the words that you, yourself, find interesting in the English language.
Yeah.
Okay. The problem is that they're going to think, what's going to happen here, they're going to think that you're in on it. They will. They have to, because it's the only solution to what's going to happen in just a moment. And so we need to find a random person. It's kind of difficult to do. Okay? Here's how we're going to do it. I want you to hand that to any person. Now, that person won't be random because you're choosing them. So hand that list of words to any person. Anyone at all. Doesn't matter who it is. Anybody. It doesn't matter. See, it's not random at all. That's your boyfriend, husband, significant other, right? You're together, aren't you? See, that's not random. In fact,
You said I could choose.
I know you chose. In fact, that's the least random ever.
He didn't look.
It doesn't matter. Oh, he doesn't know what words are on.
No.
Oh, good. All right. So it doesn't matter because he's not going to choose. What's going to happen is both you and I are going to turn our backs in a moment. He's going to hand it to somebody else. They're going to hand it. It's hot potato. You get the idea? You hand it around. And with Casey, with her back turned, whenever she yells stop, whoever's holding it, that's the random person. Now, don't yell it out right away. Go ahead and start passing it. Casey, just turn around like that. We face back here. We don't look at the monitors. I'm just going to talk for a little while because I don't want you to say stop right away. We got to let it get randomly around. If you can hand it to the other side of the room, do that. If you can't, that's fine. Okay, so Casey, here is where you practice patience. Take a deep breath. And then exhale. And whenever you want, you say stop.
Stop.
Ooh, okay, there was a false start of the stop there. But somebody has it. Who has it? Who has the list of words? Way up here. Okay, terrific. Hey, how you doing? Good. Now, don't let us see that list of words, but I'm going to assume that Casey's words are in this book. No shock to most of you. Those of you that are young, this is a dictionary. It's not just any dictionary, okay? This is the Pocket Oxford American Dictionary. Casey, put that in your pocket. And seriously, you can't look at this. They call it the Pocket. You can almost do it, can you? Oh, all right. They were half right. You can half get it in a pocket. Okay. All right. So hold on to that for just a moment, Casey. And hi, what's your name? Kirsten, open up the list of words that Casey wrote out there, because we're going to narrow it down even further. She's chosen a dozen or so words, and you're going to choose just one of them. Do you understand? Now, this could have been any person in the audience, but Kirsten is going to make that selection. And you might also notice that I have a hot pink envelope. That's a prediction. So Kirsten, what word out of Casey's words do you want?
Oh, I have to tell you now?
Well, yeah, this is the big finish. I was kind of leading to this the whole time. Huddle. Oh, puddle. Okay, puddle. I thought you said huddle, which is also an interesting word.
But puddle is more.
Is it puddle? Puddle is more interesting than a huddle. All right, it's your choice. It's your choice. Now, Casey, that is one of the words you wrote down, right? So we haven't switched lists or anything like that. You're not going to believe this, Casey, everybody else. I don't believe it myself, but look. My prediction is the number you will say is 660. What the? Oh, I brought the wrong. I'm sorry, it's the wrong hot pink envelope. This was for a trick that I did last week. Name any three-digit number. Name any three-digit number. Name a three-digit number. Name a three-digit number. Just name one.
663?
Yes, 663. This is not going well. It was, there's so much buildup and all that. There must be some way to save this. This is not. Here, I'll tell you what. Look. You can keep that list of words so that if anybody wants to look at them later, they can take a look at those and they can see that it's, it's in her handwriting, it's random, it's the same list. You can compare notes later is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But what I'd like you to do right now is to take the Pocket Dictionary and turn to page 663. Your word that you chose out of all the words in a dictionary, out of the words that she chose, is the word puddle. Now, on page 663, is the word puddle there?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Do you understand what just happened? You see,
Words on the number.
you picked a bunch of words. She picked a word. That's random. It's on the page. Yeah, it's a coinky-dink. It's like... Wait. Look. You may not have realized it. There's 978 pages in this particular dictionary. There's 2 columns on every page. There's about 17 words on each column. You know how many words that is, yeah? No. How many words is that? Do the math.
That's a lot.
33,252, approximately. Turn to page 663. Turn to page 663. That's where the only time is the word puddle. Now, it might be in other definitions, but I mean, it's actually in bold letters. The definition of puddle is on page 663. Am I correct?
Yep.
Yeah? Well, I'll wait till you get back to it. Is it there? Anything else special about it?
Circle.
Thank you so very much. You may go back to your seat. Well, what I am going to describe to you is inspired by the original trick in the book, but technically has very, very little to do with it. And so, for fairness, let me just tell you what the original trick was, and then we'll get on with this. The original one was that you would openly write something down and slip it into an envelope, then somebody would name a 2-digit number, and then you would idly be scribbling, but not scribbling, on the envelope, and then open it and reveal there was a 2-digit number. If you're already familiar with that, you're way ahead of me because you'd realize that there's a little window, a little flap window in the envelope, and all you're doing is writing down the number that they say. To be honest with you, that's not deceptive. I don't think it would have fooled anyone. It may have been, conceptually interesting to use an open writing as opposed to a nail writer or thumb writer, but I just don't think it's a good use of that open writing idea. And so, I have decided to give away my own version of a number trick where I'm openly writing. But I'm not using a thumb writer, I'm not using a nail writer, and I'm not technically writing. What I'm actually doing is erasing. So this is the number prediction right here. And this number will match a page in the dictionary on which a word is circled. So I've also cloaked it a little bit. And the reason I've done that is because you can't have any number here. You can't have somebody just call out a 3-digit number and it appears, because you can only have various digits that are here. The reason is because most of the writing down here is dry erase. So this is all that's real down at the bottom. And by real, I mean not erasable with your thumb. So this whole sign is created by taking some packaging tape, and you want to make sure you use some very slick packaging tape and test it with your dry erase marker first. You layer that all over the sign. Then you write in dry erase the number you will say is, and then you draw 3 8s down here. Then you carefully erase these parts of the 3 8s. So you have just the top of each top circle and just that loop, the forward loop of the bottom of each 8. Now after you've done that, you then re-package tape the whole thing. So all this writing is dry erase on package tape, then sealed in packaging tape. So now what I can do is I can take that same dry erase that I wrote in, and I can finish those 8s by just drawing in the lines that I erased. So now I have 3 sections of each of those numbers that can be erased out. And then the last thing I do to make the 6s look good, if I need to make a 6, is I put a little line on the outside of the 8 that's kind of straight up and down like that. So they look a little bit more like B's than they do 8s. But because it's the same dry erase on the surface as it is sealed underneath, it all looks consistent. It looks like everything is written on there and sealed inside. And if you feel like it, you can show that the whole thing's sealed up by rubbing the top here, but I think it's overkill. You don't really need to do that, because there are so many methods working here that sort of obfuscate what's going on, that the whole combination of everything makes it impossible to track how that number is derived from a random word that's named. So let's go to that, because that part is, it's not a random word. It's actually a word that's selected from a list of words. That list of words, so obviously it can't be any word, because I have to be able to create the page number that that word is on. there are 27 possibilities for numbers here, because the numbers can be a 3, a 6, or an 8. So it could be everywhere from 333 to 888, and anything with a 3, 6, and an 8 in between. So you got 333, 336, 338, on and on and on like that. To make it easier to understand, here is a list of the words that I'm using. Now, I am not using page 336, if you look up here. Even though I could make page 336, the reason I'm not using it is because 336 is too close to 338. So, in my use of this, the last number will always be a 3 or an 8. A 3 or an 8, a 3 or an 8. And that means out of 27 possibilities, I've narrowed it down to 18. So there are 18 possible pages that I can make by dry erasing with my thumb out of those 3 numbers. Those are the page numbers there. It should make pretty good sense to you which numbers they are. Now, on every one of those pages in the dictionary, and you're going to want to get yourself a dictionary that has more than 888 pages. This one has 978. On each of those pages, you will have a selection of words. So if we go to page 333, you will have a selection of words. And what you want to do is you want to find a word that's interesting, that is not like obscure, a word that somebody might think of writing down, and you want to look in the inside column and the bottom, if at all possible, because that is away from the page number. You've got to find a dictionary where the page number is up here in the center. So right up there is the page number. And that means that when somebody's looking through this, they're looking up at a page number. They are not looking at the inside columns, and they're not looking at the bottom, and that means they won't accidentally see circled words. So there's 333. Let's go to 338. This is what page 338 looks like to somebody who's looking through the book. But if you look down at the bottom, ooh, hey, there's a circled word down there, right? But you wouldn't look down at the bottom because you are looking at the page number while you're trying to find that. So what I've done is I've gone through the dictionary on every page that I can make, found an interesting word in a good location, circled it in red, and then wrote them all down here. They are in alphabetical order, numerical order as well, because that naturally happens with the dictionary. And I've kind of divided them into sections of 3. It just makes it easier for me to see them, not critical, just easier. And that's on the flap of the envelope. I don't know if I mentioned that to you, but there you go. That is your crib sheet right out in the open. So your dry erase prediction goes into the envelope with the number close to the crib sheet, and then you just push it in. You've got to be careful that you don't press on that and pull it because it will dry erase them. But because I put this onto a foam core, it automatically lifts it up a little bit, and that keeps it from prematurely dry erasing. That goes with the prepared dictionary. Now, I also have that list of words written on the inside of this notebook, but I've written them non-alphabetically, so I've mixed them up. So these words don't appear to be in any particular order at all, but it's the same 18 words, and I've written them very, very carefully so they're very clear. Nobody makes a mistake on those. And now what I'm going to do is a little pre-show. Yes, that's right, there's pre-show involved in this, but you don't have to do pre-show. If you're familiar with the add a number pad, you can also do a switch for a list. So you can, during your show, have a dozen people write down words, and then switch those words and have that handed to somebody else, and then they pick a word off of that list, thinking that it's their list when it's actually your list. But here's the pre-show I do, which makes it possible to get away with some really great dual reality and doublespeak up on stage. The pre-show goes like this. I go up to somebody that I think can handle writing and would write well and understands and likes words, and that's one of the things I say to them. I say, do you know a lot of different words, and are you good at handwriting? Because what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you pick some words off of this list and write about a dozen of these words here in any order that you want, and then tear that off, fold it up, and keep it for yourself. That is the instructions. So they choose from a list of 18 words, a dozen or so, and I don't make a big deal out of it. I say a dozen or so words, and they keep them. So And then this goes away, of course. Nobody ever sees that. So now when I start, technically, the person from the audience has made a list of words they've chosen that are random that I've never seen. That's pretty strong. You can say all of those things, and that is all true. What you're not saying is that they made that random list of words off of a suggested list of words. But they chose whatever they wanted. They wrote them down. They never showed it to you. Those are their choices of interesting words, about a dozen or so. So now you can legitimately have any person take this apparently random list and name any word. And when they name that word, all you do is you open up the envelope. Well, let's say that they name the word, let's make it a good one that has all of the numbers in it. And we're going to go down, it's actually better. If it has 8s in it, it's not critical, but I'm going to show you what to do with an 8 because there's that little thing at the side. So let's go down here to, let's go 683. That's a good one right there. So reaction. So let's say they say the word is reaction. When you look after that, the number is 683. So that's all I'm thinking at that point while I'm talking to them about the prediction. And I'm going to pull this out, and I have to make those numbers look like 683. So a 6 is super easy because I'm just going to swipe right there. And because this bottom curve can't be erased and that top can't be erased, it automatically makes a really nice looking 6. The 8, here's what you do with it. You're just going to put the tip of your thumb on that extra curve and pull it out and kind of smooth it off top and bottom. And that's it. So it's not much. Even if you didn't do that, it would still kind of look like an 8, but it's better if you get rid of that. And then a 3 is super easy because all you have to do is swipe straight down like this. Since the bottom and the top curve can't be erased, that's it. So 3 simple little swipes while you're pulling this out. Then you fold the envelope up, and I always fold it like this to show that there's nothing in it. And then I use it to gesture. The number you will say is 683. Now I act disappointed, like I brought the wrong thing. I set this up so it makes sort of an impromptu easel. So I can lay that against there because I am so proud of the sign. I want people to see it the whole time. I really like the fact that this is directing their attention in a way where they don't know where it's going until I mention the dictionary. So now the person is going to look page 683 and they're looking up at the top. They're not seeing any circled words anywhere, plus none of them have been mentioned. They get to page 683 and they are looking for the word reaction. And when they look down, there it is, circled. So you say to them, is the word reaction on that page? You get that. Then you say, is there anything unusual about it? They say it's circled. And then, of course, if the audience is close enough or you've got a camera, you can show that that is circled. Now, nobody ever thinks of looking at a different page for a circled word because there's the page number. Why would they look at a different page? Nobody ever thinks about looking at all of the words that are on that list because there's the page number. Not all of those words are on that same page. Not all of those words would be circled on that page. So I think the combination of methods here, really, really super strong. It plays as though it's one word out of an entire dictionary, when in fact, you're limiting their set to just the ones that you can predict. So Gabriel, look, you probably don't play chess. But I'm going to explain something to everybody who doesn't play chess. The knight has the most fascinating move in all of the chess pieces. In all of the chess pieces, they either move along columns or diagonals. All of them. Doesn't matter. Sometimes they take one step and they can move either on a column or a diagonal. Sometimes they can move the entire column or the entire diagonal. But the knight is restricted to a very specific move. And yet, because of that, it captures more pieces than any other piece. But the move is weird. You know what it is, yeah?
Yes.
All right. Look, here's what a knight can do. If it starts on one of these 16 squares in the center, it can move 8 different places, but they all have something in common. A knight can only move in an L. It can only move 2 spaces away from itself and then 1 space to the side. So, if it's starting here on number 37, it could move 2 spaces up and then 1 to the side there. Or it could move 2 spaces over and 1 to the side here. Or 2 and 1. Or 2 and 1. Or 2 and 1. Or 2, 1. Just like that. It can only move to those 8 spaces. It's always an L. It's restricted. It changes color each time, as you might have noticed. It started out on a white square. It can only move to these 8 gray squares. Now it gets harder. Because if it's not on those 16 squares, if it happens to be on the side, well, then it can't move past the board. It can now only move to a very few squares. This one, that one that's already marked, this one, or this one. But if it's in a corner, let's use this corner. It can only move to 2 squares.
Yes.
Can you stamp them out for everybody? It's the 2 white squares that are a diagonal and 1 square off. You see, he understands how the knight moves. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to direct you, while I'm blindfolded, to move the knight from square to square using only legal moves, and yet I'm going to have you stamp out each and every square only once, never ever going back to the same square until we return to wherever you decide to start. Don't decide yet. Let's use a new page. Now, as far as you know, there's no deception involved here. He can start on any one of those 64 squares. But you may think there's some collusion going on. You may think that I actually know him. I've never met you before, have I?
No, you haven't.
That's exactly what someone would say if I had met them before and paid them to do this. You can't prove it, can you?
No, I can't.
Okay. Here's how we're going to do it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you to hand the knight to any one person. Now, that person may also be in on it. But they're going to hand it to another person. And that person might be in on it, but probably not. And then they're going to hand it to a third person. That person probably isn't in on it unless I've worked with everybody here, which I haven't. Let's make it more random. Here. Jared?
Yes.
Turn your back and toss it into the audience anywhere at all. It's me! I get to decide. No. The third person that catches the ball. There you go. Just toss it. That's person number 1. Person number 1, toss it to person number 2. Person number 2, toss it to person number 3. Person number 3, come up here and join us. There's no way we could have known that this guy was going to be selected from the back. How you doing, man? No, yeah, I'll take it. You can keep it if you want, or well, it's a souvenir, you know, no big deal. What's your name?
Matt.
Okay, so Matt, you're going to stand here for just a second. Now, all you're going to do is decide where we start.
Okay.
And then Jared, because you play chess, you're going to make sure that I only do legal moves from that point on. Do you guys understand your job, your role, your responsibility? Because I'm going to be blindfolded. So, Mike, I'm going to put a blindfold on, okay? And I have to stay very close to the chair so I know where it is. All right? And then, while I take a little nap, Mike, I want you to just place the knight absolutely anywhere on the board on any one of those squares. It's entirely up to you. Just as soon as you've done that, then you can take your seat. Let's give Mike a big round of applause. Now, Jared.
Yes.
Jared.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I know you're here. All right, Jared. The first thing I have to do is, see, I've sized up Mike. And the first thing I have to do is to figure out where he was likely to start. If I can figure out where he's likely to start, then I can figure out that there are 8 or 2 or 4 possible moves. If I name a square that you can't go to, you just let me know. All right? So I don't think that Mike would go for the 16 center squares, but I also don't think that he would go for an edge. I don't think he would go for a corner. So I'm going to take a shot in the dark here. And I'm going to say that from where he is, he's close to a side, he's close to a corner. I believe that there's a legal move to the corner at number 64. Am I right?
You're correct.
Move it to 64 and stamp it out. Now move it from there. There are only 2 other ways to go. Back to where he was or to 54. Stamp it out. From there you can move it many different directions, but let's go to square number 60. That's a legal move?
Yes.
If it's not a legal move, you stop me. 45.
Yes.
28.
Yes.
38.
Yes.
These are easy ones because I can go anywhere from here. Let's go to 21.
Yes.
Let's go to 36.
Yes.
Then to 30.
Yes.
Up to 15.
Yes.
Over to the side, 32. Should be to your right.
Yes.
22. Up to the top edge to 7. Back over to the right edge to 24. 39. Back to the right edge to 56. Down to the bottom to 62. So far, it's been easy. Let's do some more numbers that end in 2. Those are pretty easy. So let's go 52. Now we're going to get close to the other corner. Let's go to 42. Down to the corner, that's 57. So if you came from 42, you can only go back out by hitting 51. Now down to your leading edge, which is 61. Let's go up to 55. Over to the right edge to 40. 46. Down to 63. Close to the corner. Back over to the right edge to 48. Come back into 31. Go up to 16. All the way up to 6. Down and over to 12. Stop me at any time if it's not a legal move. From 12, there's a couple of possibilities, but I like, let's go to another corner. So let's go 18 first. It's not the corner, but we're moving to the corner. 18. Now move to 1. That's the other corner. Then hit 11. We're about halfway done. Try 5. That's the only way out. 28. Into the center. Here's a quick run. Did you hit?
You say 28.
Nope. 20. 20. 20. We already did 28. 20. Okay. We're close to the center squares now in 20. Let me do these fast. They should all be legal. Listen carefully. 37.
Yes.
27.
Yes.
44.
Yes.
29.
Yes.
35. 35. 50.
Yes.
Okay, we've got one on the edge open. 33.
Yes.
43. Back down to the bottom to 58. to that left edge to 41. 26. Left edge to 9. Up to the top to 3. 13. 23. That brings us into the corner at 8. Back out at 14. Back up to 4. 10. Over to the left edge 25. 19. To the top at 2. Back to the left edge at 17. 34. Left edge 49. There should be 3 squares left. Bottom edge 59. Up to 53. Back where we started at 47. Well, this particular trick is kind of unusual in magic in that it's not really that magical. It is a demonstration of skill, apparently. Now, technically speaking, this could be a real demonstration of skill if you're the kind of person that doesn't mind memorizing long lists of things. So what you need to know to do this particular trick, if we want to call it that, is a series of 64 numbers. And those 64 numbers have to be in a particular order because that's what's going to happen as the knight moves around the board. It has to move in a particular order to be able to legally move around the board and cancel out each one of the squares. Now, this isn't the kind of thing that appeals to everybody, and in my presentation, I'm not sure how much you'll see in the edited version, but I always explain that not everybody plays chess, so not everybody's going to understand it, but I'm going to try to make sure that everybody does understand how difficult this is. And technically speaking, if you memorize those numbers, it'd be difficult, but it's not that difficult. When this is normally done, you just have somebody decide what square they want the knight to start on, and then you, as the person doing it, would move the knight from square to square and mark those squares off in some way. So I've added a couple of things to this that I think are really kind of cool. The coolest, of course, being the rubber stamp knight. That makes all the difference. That brings the fun to what would otherwise be kind of a dry trick, in that all I'm doing, all anybody would be doing, is calling off the numbers. And that's 64 numbers that have to be called off. There's virtually no way to shorten the amount of time that it takes to get through all those numbers, and you have to, because that's what you say you're going to do. But this guy makes it super fun. So, this is a oversized plastic knight that has been mounted on to a heavy-duty rubber stamper. So you get these from 2 different places. You go on the internet and you look up heavy-duty self-inking rubber stamp. Lots of places sell these things. You want to find the biggest one that you can that will still fit with the knight that you find. This particular one has a size of a stamper down here that I believe is just over 2 inches, like 2 1/4 by 3, something like that. And so what I've done, and they customize these, all I did was I had them make a big X right in that spot. Now, the way these things work is awesome. There's a little spinny thing, if you've never worked on one of these, that spins the rubber stamp around and stamps it. The ink pad is hidden up in there, and then it spins back, and it re-inks itself. Super, super fun. You're also going to have to find a big plastic knight, and that's actually pretty easy to do. You just go on to the internet and type in giant chess pieces, and I believe that you will find, again, a number of places that sell a lot of variations. Now, the first thing you're going to find are giant chess pieces, life-size, like 6 feet tall, that you would put outside in your yard for lawn chess. There are people that make giant chessboards. You're going to want to scroll through until you get to the slightly smaller decorative ones, and they typically will have a king, a queen, and a knight. Those are the three most popular ones that you're going to find. This one is 6 inches tall. That's perfect. It's the right size for a hand to use as a handle. That's what you're looking for. So now you're going to need to cut open the bottom of that knight. It's going to have a flat plastic bottom with a felt piece on the bottom of it. So all I did was I just took a rotary tool and I cut it open and then curved it a little bit here so that it would fit on the top of the handle. This rubber stamp normally has a handle that extends straight up from here about that high inside the knight. So I then took spray foam, which is great stuff. That's actually the real brand name. Great stuff. And I spray foamed the interior of the knight. You have to do it in stages. So you have to spray foam the bottom and let that set up for about 8 hours or so. Then spray foam, just about this much of it in here. Let that set up a little bit, and making sure that the handle can still go down in there. You might have to go in and carve a little bit out to make sure the handle sets upright. Then you push the handle inside the knight. You tape very securely with good strong tape these two spots. Then you spray foam into the edges that are open. And the reason that you tape that is because as spray foam expands, there's pressure against it. It would push this right up out of it or tilt it off to the side. So you have to make sure that it's mounted in tightly as the spray foam expands. Once it's expanded and set up for about 24 hours, you carve it out and you paint it black. So that is all that's necessary to mount that thing on there, nice and solid. So now you can use this to stamp absolutely anywhere on here, and it's super, super fun. The other thing is to get yourself a giant chessboard. This is pretty easy to do because I've provided you the artwork for this, so if you do want to perform this routine, you can just go to pretty much any place that does large format printout and request these to be printed out on plain paper. Paper is typically used for engineering drawings, and it's the cheapest stuff that you can get. It's just plain paper, large size. And you have them print out a bunch of those. Now, if you want to, you can have them also make those into a pad. They can do all the trimming and all the mounting and all that. I save a little bit of money by doing that part myself. I just get a bunch of separate sheets. I put them all together. I trim them out to the right size. I staple them across the top. Here, let me pull that down so you can see there. Staple them across the top like that, and then just tape over it, and that makes a pad. And of course, you can have as many sheets on that pad as you think you might possibly go through. And you can make as many as you want to. I typically use 2 or 3 of them during the performance. It depends on how much I want to stamp it and how much I want it to be stamped to begin with. So once you've got these props together, you're also going to be making another prop, and that is the chair. But I'm going to talk about that in just a moment because you may decide that you're going to use something instead of the chair. But just so that you know, here is the tour that the knight will be taking, marked off in red. That is the exact path that the knight takes on its whole journey. Now, I don't expect you to memorize those numbers in order based on this. Graphically seeing it, kind of cool because it looks really, really neat, and you can sort of see how it's symmetrical in ways. It's actually symmetrical in that half of the tour is exactly the same as the other half, rotated 90 degrees, and you'll see that in a moment when I talk about how you know the numbers. But that's what's actually going on, but again, that's not going to make much sense to you to memorize it that way. It's just kind of cool to see what's really going on. Here are the numbers in order that you are going to have to, know. And you can see that it's a pretty long line of numbers, so don't try to memorize them yet. I'll show them to you again. Plus, if you do get all the extra materials with this, you'll get those numbers in a much more easy-to-read format. Now, here's where it becomes a trick. I don't like to memorize things. If you've been following along with these lessons, you probably already know that. I am not big on memorization because I got into magic and into theater because it's a simulation of things, not because I really want to do those things. I don't have the actual ability to perform, true magic. So for me to bother memorizing this, it seems ridiculous when I'm a magician and I can easily hide that as a crib sheet somewhere. Now, in other descriptions of this trick, there are little notations that are put on these squares so that you, as a performer, can see where you are, and the square tells you where the next square is. I didn't want to do that because I didn't want to stamp it out myself. I didn't want to mark it out myself. I wanted somebody else to do that and that to be fun. And I thought, it'd be really good if I'm not even paying attention to the board, so I could just turn away and then call it off. And that's one way to do this, because you can have that crib sheet somewhere else where nobody else can see it except you looking in this direction. Or you can do what I did, which is to put it right on the chair. So right on this chair are all of the numbers that I need, and it's in two places. To make it easier for you to see, I'm going to move the chair up onto the table and let you take a look at the seat of the chair, and in particular, the side rails. Now this, since this is an old wooden chair, it was pretty easy to do that. There's the numbers. They are printed out on a wood grain that is similar in color to the chair. It's actually a little bit lighter because it makes it a little bit easier to read. If you did it as dark as the grain on this particular chair, you wouldn't be able to see it too well. So this wood grain, fake wood grain, just plain paper that this is printed on, it's actually a card stock, so it's a little bit heavy duty. And then each one of those numbers has a little highlight around it. If you know anything about design things or designing things in Photoshop, you can see the light kind of glow that goes around the edge of that number. That is, the color of that glow is the same as the light color in the wood grain. Another thing is you'll notice that there are some tick marks that are placed on various numbers that mean something. So hidden on the side edge of the chair are those numbers. If you go down there, you'll also see that they're on the opposite side. So that means that the chair, and they're turned the other way, of course, the chair could be on either the left side, which is where I prefer it, or if I absolutely have to, it can be on the right side, and I can see it either way. So I typically have it over here, and I look at the upstage rail, which is the one here on this side. But if I had it on the other side, I could look at that rail. The way I look at it, of course, is standard peeking practice with a blindfold. Now what I did was I took a sleep mask here, and at the bottom of the sleep mask there was a cushion, and that cushion is put into there both to make it comfortable but also to block out the natural tendency for the light to leak next to the nose. So I just cut that cushion right out of there, and that makes a perfect blindfold that you can still peek. So right now I am seeing absolutely everything down here. I'm going to tilt my head up so that you can see where I'm looking. It's right there. There's my eye. See it? So just that little break right there. So I can see everything. All I have to do is tilt my head like that and I can see everything here. So what I do is I position myself like this, as though I have to hold on to the chair because I'm blindfolded, and I ask somebody to put the knight on any one of the squares. Now all I have to do is just turn my head and glance, and I can see absolutely everything. And what I'm doing is looking for the number before where the knight is. That just makes it easy to know where it is. So as soon as I see that number, I just continue to move around the chair, and I say, have you put the knight on a number yet? They'll say yes. So what I've done is I looked and I saw the number 21, so I know the knight is on number 22. Now the only place that this is a little bit more challenging is here, if they put it on this edge. But that's closest to me, so I don't have to look very far. To figure that out, I have to look at the next number and do the subtraction. But it's pretty easy to do. It's only one number off. So it just takes a second, and I see it, and now I know it's on number 25. And I'm still doing the same thing. I'm here by the time I say, have you put it on a number? So now I'm going to take my seat, and I'm going to turn away. And what I'm actually doing is looking down here at the rail through this space, And in this case, we're on number 25. So I'm going to look for the number 25. This is the most challenging part of the effect, is to find, because this is, it's not a random assortment of numbers, but the numbers aren't in numerical order. So finding the number 25 will take a little time, and while I'm doing that, I'm actually giving instructions. So what I'm saying has nothing to do with the looking. So I'm just saying, that in a moment I'm going to have you pick that up, and I've studied this guy, and I'm going to try to figure out where he started. I don't think that he's done this, and I don't think he's done that. Now, in this case, my little tick marks, which I'll tell you about a little bit more, tell me that 25 is on the edge, and it's on the edge nearest me. Now, I already knew that because I looked at it, but they tell me the same thing. So what I would say is, judging from him, what I could tell about him when he came up here is he's going to make it challenging to me, but not really that difficult. Like, he's not going to put it in the corner, but he's going to put it on one of the edges. Now, instead of naming the number, what I'm going to do is I'm going to name the next number in the sequence of numbers. So what I'm going to say, is it possible for you to move to square 19? Is that a legal move? And of course it is, because that's the next number. So that would be here, and I would say, okay, move it to 19 and stamp it. And that's what the guy would do. And at that point, I'm off and running, and all I'm going to do is name those numbers out in order, the way that they appear there. Now, I think just naming numbers is pretty dull. And so the other thing that I've added to this are the tick marks. The tick marks tell you unusual numbers. They tell you the corners and all of the edges. So that's what's going on here. So let's take a little look at the beginning sequence here. Well, the sequence is cyclical. So the sequence would be 1, 11, 5, 20, 37, 27, 44, on and on and on like that. Okay? Now, if you look at the number 1, you can see that the tick mark that I put here, and it's the same one that I use on the chair. These numbers are just twice as big and on a white background to make it easier for you to see. That means it's a corner. And it tells me exactly which corner, because that corresponds, I'll lay it here, that tick mark corresponds to the upper left corner. Upper left, upper left. So when I'm seated here and I see that tick mark, I know it's the corner closest to me in that direction, the upper left. The other tick marks tell me that the 5 is on the edge, and it's at the top edge. It's pretty easy to remember the numbers 1 through 8 are the top line. These tick marks become more important for sides than anything else. And then if we go here, all of these numbers that don't have tick marks, I know are within the central area. So when I get to those, I can say, here, let's just have a little fun jumping around. Just try to keep up with me. And I can go 20, 37, 27, 44, and I don't have to say anything in particular, but then I can say, as I start to get here, 35, okay, now go to 50, and we're going to go to the other edge. Stamp 33, right there on the edge, nearest me, I think is, yeah, that's where it would be, nearest me, okay? So based on that tick mark, I'm able to call out when I'm going to an edge. So I can say, stamp 33 nearest me, now drop down to 43, any higher number is dropping down. Drop down to 43, and then all the way to the bottom edge to 58. The fact that I can call out what edge it's on makes it a little bit more interesting. Now, there's 64 numbers, so I have 2 rows of 32. So a top row of 32 numbers, a bottom row of 32 numbers. It's the easiest way to arrange this thing, but the sequence could start anywhere. Like when we started with 25, that means that I am looking through, and I'm going to lay this down here even though it's a little weird so you can see it from overhead. I am looking through those numbers on the chair until I find 25, which is right here. So that's where the sequence starts. Now, I kind of have to remember that's where I started. So it's important when I first cite where they are, I remember 25, I start with 25, but I call out the next number, which is 19. Then I continue to call out the top row until I get to 47. Then I jump down to the bottom row. I call out all of the bottom row until I get to 18. Then I jump back up to the top row and I call all of those out until I get close to 25. And I try to pick an interesting place before I get to the last one. So this, to me, if they started with 25, I would get to the number 8, which is the upper right corner. And then I would say, all right, so now I know I'm stuck in the corner, but I know that there's a way out. There are only 4 numbers left, because I can count them off. And I can say, okay, I've got to get all the way from there back to where you started. So let's go to 14. Then let's go up to that last 4, to the 4 at the top. Then over to 10. And then that'll make it possible to go back down to where you started at 25. So the end of it is always, it'll make it possible for you to go back to where you started, and then you name the number. So I've added a little bit of mystery and magic to it by doing the whole thing blindfolded and apparently knowing where they started without having seen where they started. It's up to you whether you want to do that or not. You could do the whole thing straight without the blindfold. You could have them set it down so you see where it is and then blindfold yourself. That's entirely up to you how you want to present it, if this is the kind of thing that appeals to you. But I can tell you, this is extremely challenging to make entertaining and exciting. You have to bring the excitement and explain to the audience, why they should care about this whole thing. All right, so let's just take a moment to look over the numbers, and I'll show you one more interesting principle that's happened because I've done 2 lines of 32. The symmetry is obvious when you do 2 lines of 32 numbers. It also makes it easier for you so that you can double check yourself along the way. So the first thing is, you'll notice that the pairs of numbers that are above one another always add to 65. So 64 and 1, 65. 54 and 11, that's 65. 60 and 5, 65. 45 and 20, 65, and so on and so on. Every pair of numbers above the next one adds to 65, without exception. One of the things that's nice about that is that they're harder to read when they're hidden on that chair. And you're peeking through the blindfold. It's a challenge sometimes to tell the difference between a 0 and an 8. So all you have to do, and of course I had 1 missed call during the performance. Missed calls with this, they're nice, but don't do too many. Let one accidentally come up, if anything. So the way to double check it is a 0 will always be paired with a 5. So here, 60, I know that's a 0 because there's a 5 above it. An 8 will always be paired with a 7. So I think the missed call might have been, it's actually 20. And I thought it was 28. I'm calling that one, and I said 28, and then I got hesitation. And I said, no, wait a second. And then I just look at this number, and I go, yeah, that 5 means that's a 0. I said, I meant 20. So then we go back to that. So that's helpful. The other thing that's kind of cool about this, and it doesn't really help in the calling of them, is that you'll notice that the numbers are always opposite one another. And that's why they add to 65. But by that I mean this. The number 1 is in the upper left corner. The number 64 is in the lower right. Number 5 is at the top edge. Number 60 is at the bottom edge. Let's go to some that are side to side. The number 33, that's to the left side. The number 32, that's to the right side. So you'll always know when you're coming up on numbers at edges because they're paired anyway, and it's always at the same spacing all the way through the whole thing. And like I said, that is due to the symmetry of the actual tour that's taken. So any half of this tour is cut right through symmetrically in any way that you want to put a line going through the center. You'll always have the exact opposite of that happening for the second half of the tour. Well, it's about everything I can tell you about the excitement of mathematics. Now what I'm going to do is to hold these numbers up as the camera pans very slowly across them, so that if you only have this video, you will be able to write down the numbers in the order that they need to be and see where all those tick marks are, if this is the kind of thing that you want to do. Tonight's winning lottery numbers are all of them. That's the Knight's Tour. Okay, good. No, you've already done it. You've already done enough. We've got a bunch of them here. He's mixed them all up. You've mixed them all. I got to show everybody here. I think it says fork. But I'm not 100% on that one. That also has a little fold in it. Okay, I told you not to fold the cards, so we're, I don't. Fork that. Okay, so they've been mixed up a little bit, but I'm going to mix them a little further as well as I can. Like, these are not like regular playing cards, obviously, but I am going to try to get them to mix together as well as I possibly can, which they don't, but that's all right. All right, so there. We should have a random assortment of your objects that you've chosen. Here's what I'm going to try to do. I'm going to try to memorize. Not all of them, because that would take a little bit too long. I'm going to try to memorize, say, 20 of them. 20 of the objects. Whatever the first 20 are off of the top of the stack, that's what I'm going to try to memorize. And I'll be honest with you, whenever I go to the store, if my list for going to the store is longer than 3 items, then I write it down. If it's 3 items, I don't write it down. I don't know about you guys. But this is a very special technique that you can use if you have a longer list. I never use this outside of performance because it does take a little bit of extra concentration. I'll do it as I number them, and I'm going to say each one as I number it. So this nail clippers is number 1. That is a box of cereal is number 2. That is a hammer is number 3. Some of them are mixed around and upside down. A card tire will be number 4. Number 4, a card tire. Number 4, card tire. Number 5 is an arrow. Number 6 is an umbrella. Number 7 is a turtle, which it's not exactly an object, but that's fine. Okay, it's hard to read that one, but that's a ukulele. Number 8, they didn't spell it right to begin with, but then they got it. Number 9. 9 is a left shoe. Very specific. I like that. Number 10, that's headphones. Number 11 is hand sanitizer. Number 12 is a toaster. 13 is a pink eraser. Also, I like that. Very specific. Number 14 is a lighter. Number 15 is stop sign. Stop sign. 15 is a stop sign. Give me a second with that one. This one's even harder. Number 16 is a palm tree. 17 is car keys. 18 is a crate. That's not helpful. It's going to be a tough one. 19 is a lamp. And 20 is a rake. Okay, there are the 20 cards. I have memorized them in that order as I've written them down. Completely committed to memory. Thank you so very much. Now there are some of you are perfectly happy to accept the fact that I've memorized them and just move on with the fun part of the show. But there are others that would rather have me prove that I have in fact memorized them. Are you good at reading other people's handwriting? What's your name?
Bree.
Bree, let's give Bree a big round of applause. She comes up here. Bree, you're gonna stand over there. Now, number 1 is the top one on the stack right there. Number 1 is nail clippers.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So what I'm going to ask you to do is just take each one of them off of there, and look at them, and I will tell you what they are. Okay. You ready? All right. So number 1 is nail clippers. Number 2 is a box of cereal. Number 3 is a hammer. Number 4 is a car tire. Number 5 is an arrow. Number 6 is an umbrella. Number 7 is a turtle. Number 8 is a ukulele. Number 9 is a left shoe. Number 10, earphones. Number 11 is hand sanitizer. Number 12 is a toaster. Number 13 is a pink eraser. Number 14 is a lighter. Number 15 is a stop sign. Why I did that, you'd have to figure out, but there's a reason. Number 16 is a palm tree. Number 17 are your car keys. Number 18 is a crate. I knew it was going to be tough. Number 19 is a lamp, and number 20 is a rake. Bree.
Yeah.
Bree. Just look through those cards. Take any one of them out and tell me the number. 13 is a pink eraser.
Yeah.
Take another one out and tell me the number. Anyone.
15.
Which one?
15.
15 is, oh, wait a second. 15 is stop sign. That's okay. That's the thing. That's why I did that. That's a stop sign. I'm actually hitting someone with the stop sign to remember it, like I'm playing tennis, because 15 is a point in tennis. I just told you the secret. Now that you know the secret, Bree, take another card, but this time don't tell me the number. Tell me the object that is on, that somebody wrote on there.
The object?
Yeah.
Ukulele.
A ukulele, that is number 8.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Try another object. Just name any object, any random object that's in there.
Car keys.
Car keys, that's 17.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, now are they still in order?
I think I put them in order.
Did you keep them in order?
I think so. I can check real quick. Yes.
All right. So, Bree, we're going to do the big finish.
Okay.
The big finish is to do them backwards. So, number 1 is... No. That's the worst joke ever. All right, you ready? You ready with number 20?
Yes.
All right, here we go. Backwards. Okay, number 20, that's a rake. Number 19 is a lamp. Number 18 is a crate. Number 17 are your car keys. Number 16 is a palm tree. Number 15 is always the one that I have problems with. Oh, no, it's a stop sign. I told you. Yeah, you already knew that. Everybody else already knew that. Why? I know why it is. It's because a stop sign always goes, I better stop. I've had a couple tickets. Number 14 is a lighter. Number 13 is a pink eraser. Number 12 is a toaster. Number 11 is hand sanitizer. Number 10 are headphones. Number 9 is a left shoe. Number 8 is a ukulele. Number 7 is a turtle. Number 6 is an umbrella. Number 5 is an arrow. Number 4 is a car tire. Number 3 is a hammer. Number 2 is a box of cereal. And number 1, that's the nail clippers. Thank you so much for helping. Big round of applause for Bree. Okay, well, this is a demonstration of your ability to memorize a long list of random items. Not necessarily magic, but it can have quite an impact. It's especially good if you are doing a show where you're talking about the powers of the mind, or if you're a mentalist and you want to show how you pick up on information very quickly. This is a good way to do it. It's a good way to illustrate that. Now, the problem with doing this kind of memory recall is that if you're not fast at it, it's going to bore people. And if you don't have a quick way of getting the information, that will bore people. If you don't have a quick way of explaining what's going on. So you have to be able to do it very, very quickly. And everybody that I've ever seen do this in the past, it usually slows down for, part of the collection of information, or something about it just makes it slow down. Usually the act of memorizing, if it's done live on stage and you're memorizing the list on stage, it's going to take a while. It's going to take you about 5 to 10 minutes to memorize 20 items and be able to recall them the way that I was showing. So there are a couple of solutions to this. One of them is to collect the information in advance. So you could use an impression pad and have somebody make a list of 20 items, they keep the list, you take the impression pad backstage, and you memorize that list. Now, I'm going to tell you how you can memorize it in a second if you don't know. There's a technique that allows you to memorize it so you won't forget it no matter what. But you do need about 5 or 10 minutes to do that technique. So you can do it that way. There's also another way, and that's what I'm using here. And you might find this a little weird, but I am doing a legitimate demonstration of memorizing a random list, but I'm not using any actual information from this particular audience. Now, that's sort of weird. I'm doing a switch for random information that was generated by a previous audience. And I'm going to show you that. So I'm actually reciting things that random people have written, just not this audience of random people. And that means that my memorization is not done during the show, so I can apparently do it faster than anybody else. And I think you'll like the technique once you get over your initial resistance to it. There are some major benefits to using the technique that I'm using. First of all, let's talk about how to memorize a list of 20 items. You need what are known as pegs. Pegs are, they're like hooks to hang these items on, but they are related to the numbers 1 through 20. These are the pegs that I use, and if you know anything about memory systems, these first 10 you're probably familiar with. They're pretty typical. This is the rhyming peg system. So these words all rhyme with the number. So 1 is a gun, 2 is a shoe, 3 is a tree, 4 is a door, 5 is a hive, like a beehive, 6 sticks, 7 heaven, 8 weight, 9 wine, and 10 is a hen. Not just any hen, it's a big fat hen. But just put hen there. You'll always say in your mind a big fat hen. So we have those 10 are simple. Now when you get into the double digits, it gets a little weird because there's no one perfect list for those double digits, but this is the list that I use. It's a compound of some things and some things that I've added in just myself because I can memorize them better. Here's 11 for me. 11 for me is elven. Now elven is just anything that's related to elves. So I actually think typically of the Keebler elves, making their cookies in the tree. So 11 is elven. 12 is a shelve. 12, shelve. It's the action of putting something on a shelf, shelving it, shelve that. So 12 is shelve. 13 is unlucky, so it's a black cat, also unlucky. 14 is February 14th, Valentine's Day, heart. 15 is tennis because it's a score in tennis. Your first point is worth 15. 15 is tennis. 16 I call sweet because I just think of whatever I'm thinking of, sugar-coated, that's sweet 16. 17 is a magazine. There's a magazine called 17 Magazine, at least in English-speaking countries. I don't know if it's called the same thing anywhere else. 18, a graduation robe, mortarboard, and the diploma. I think of all of that. Just the act of graduating is there because here in America, at least, we graduate when we're 18. I think it's pretty typical most places. Now, 19 is a little weird for me. It's Aretha Franklin. Okay, Aretha Franklin, I've always associated with 19 because of the Steely Dan song, Hey 19. Okay, and one of the lines in Hey 19 is, she don't remember the Queen of Soul, So Aretha Franklin, she don't remember the Queen of Soul. If you know the song, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you don't, you'd have to come up with something else for 19. 20, I think of $20, so a $20 bill. Okay, so the first thing is, you memorize that list. That's an easy list to memorize. It's super, super easy. This you could just get in a couple of minutes as long as you've made the associations already. So when I go through that list with no extra association, I am building solid pegs. The pegs will never change. So 1 is a gun, 2 is a shoe, 3 is a tree, 4 is a door, 5 is a hive, 6 are sticks, 7 is heaven, 8 is weight, 9 is wine, 10 is a hen, big fat hen. 11 is elven, 12 is shelving, 13 is a black cat, 14 is Valentine's Day heart, 15 is tennis, 16 is sweet sugar, 17 is a magazine, 18 is graduation. Sometimes the pictures get a little bit bigger. So graduation robe and stuff like that. 19, Hey 19, is Aretha Franklin, $20. So now I've got that in my mind. Okay, here's where it gets a little weird. You now take random information. So this is the list from last night. So this is number 1, nail clippers right there. And then on to number 2, a box of cereal, and on like that. And you don't have to make this list. You just have to have that information on hand and know the order it's going to be in. But this is what's going on in my head. So every one of the new objects gets appended to the existing list that I've already memorized. So here are the pegs right there, and then after the slash is the new information. So here's how it goes down. When I see that nail clippers is the first piece of information, I associate it with a gun. So I picture myself shooting a gun while I'm clipping my nails. The funnier and stranger it is, the better. And in addition to that, I usually try to make 2 or 3 associations if I can. So I'm shooting a gun while clipping my nails, and then I'm thinking to myself, now wait a second, both of these are not allowed on an airplane because they're both considered weapons. It's pretty crazy funny. Now, number 2 is a shoe. So the information here is cereal box, so I just imagine that inside a box of cereal someone has left a shoe. There's a shoe inside there. Now this is interesting that I'm going to point out to you about the shoe. Down here, someone wrote down a left shoe. And I like that, but it can get a little confusing. You don't have to use that information because you're going to sort these out in advance, but I like that. So when I know that it's a left shoe, it's not just the shoe that's in the cereal box, it's a left shoe, and inside that left shoe is a bottle of wine. So I've kind of got a compound one going on here. So when I hear number 9, I think of wine, I think of a left shoe. If I hear number 2, I'm thinking of a shoe. It happens to be that same left shoe that somebody left in a cereal box. So it all starts to work together in my head. It's really, really easy to do. Tree is simple. I imagine myself banging against the tree with a hammer, and the tree itself is shaped and cut like a giant hammer made out of a tree. 4-door. 4 is a door, and in this case, 4-door makes me remember car and the car tire. I think of a 4-door car with giant tires on it, like you'd see on a big monster truck. So I'm never going to forget it's the car tire on that 4-door car. Okay, 5 is a hive. It's a beehive. I just imagine shooting an arrow through a beehive, and all the bees are out, and they're all angry and attacking the person who shot the arrow. 6 are sticks. I imagine an umbrella made entirely out of sticks. So easy. Heaven, turtle. Put some wings and a halo on that turtle, and you will never forget that it is number 7. 8 is a weight, so I think of a giant weight dropping down from the rafters and killing the person playing the ukulele, because that should happen to just about everybody that plays a ukulele. Number 9 is wine, and I already told you, I just imagine a bottle of wine shoved in a left shoe. It must be a left shoe. 10 is a hen. A hen wearing headphones is already super silly, so you're not going to forget that. 11, elven hand sanitizers. Before those elves are making those cookies, they have to sanitize their hands, both before and after they work, because they're in a peanut processing plant, so remember that. 12, shelf. I think of a store that only sells toasters, and it's my job to shelve all the toasters. 13, a black cat, a pink eraser. So if a black cat crosses your path, you erase it with a giant magic pink eraser. Valentine's Day heart on February 14th. I just imagine, somebody lighting that on fire with a lighter because, they're pissed off at the person who's trying to give them that Valentine's Day heart. 15, tennis, stop sign, pretty easy. You even saw it in the performance how I imagine using a stop sign like a tennis racket. What I'm actually imagining in my head is an entire tennis match being played by 2 people using stop signs to play the entire match. Sweet palm tree. Sweet palm tree. So just imagine a palm tree made of sugar, coated in sugar, on a beach of sugar. You'll never forget that that's number 16, and you'll never forget it's a palm tree. The 17 magazine, where are my car keys? They're on top of the 17 magazine. So just picture them on top of the 17 magazine. That one is a little difficult. That took a little longer to commit to memory because there's not that much that's too crazy there. Here, 18, graduation, I imagine the robe, the hat, the diploma, all that stuff being stored away in a crate. So that's how I know that it's a crate. Aretha Franklin as a lamp. So you've got to imagine the Queen of Soul, the beautiful singing that she did, that you've got this lamp that looks like Aretha Franklin, and every time you turn it on, it belts out one of her famous tunes. $20 and a rake, pretty easy to do. Imagine yourself raking not just the leaves, but lots and lots of $20 bills, raking them all together. You're raking in the money. Okay, so that is the random list that I used for this show, and it was generated by a previous audience. So all of these are written in different handwriting, just like you're going to find it in this audience. Some of them will have maybe a little mistake that people corrected or crossed out, but these are all a very good selection of things that you can use for the show. Now, I put them in order so that number 1 is going to be face down on the top. So I'm going to reverse this order so that you understand. Now remember, these won't have numbers on them. So when you do this act, you will also need a large marker of your own. And you do want to make sure that you hand out the writing utensils, whether they are pencils, pens, or whatever, that match the ones that you've got prepared. That stack of 20 of those items is placed underneath this close-up pad or any other covering on any other table with just this much of the corner sticking out at the back where you can't see it. So that's right there. And it's right where my left hand would naturally rest on this table. So now, these are the things that were written by the people last night. Oh, and I should mention that the way I get these cards is I have 4x6 index cards cut in half. So when I buy these, I just ask the place, because where I go is Staples, so they sell these, and they also have a department where you can get stuff printed and cut to size. So I just ask them to cut those 4x6 cards in half. They do them when they're right in the package, and they stay in the package because it only cuts the top layer of the cellophane. That makes it really handy. Okay, so these are the ones from last night, like I was saying, but here's why you are going to prefer this method. I've sorted out from last night some of the options that I could never use in the show. So one of them is this, a phoropter. Now I'm a pretty smart guy, but I don't know what that is. I'll probably look it up, but off the top of my head I have no idea what that is. This, from last night, I asked them to write down an object, and this is what they give me. That'll never be used. A bong. Now that would be fine, but if it comes up in the wrong crowd at the wrong time, you can't use it. But if I know I'm working in a place where I can use it, I'll probably put that on my list of things. This one. Oh, what is it? Blank. That was handed in. Now here is a lighter, and that's fine because that actually came up in our list. That was February 14th, so it's number 14, a lighter. But they also wrote on the other side of it, the Great Wall of China. If it's written on both sides, it can't really be used. It looks a little too suspicious. Plus, it's been folded, but that's not actually a big deal. Same thing here. Here's a table on this side, and here's Miami, Florida on that side. Can't use a double-sided card. Somebody else also did a drawing. Can't use that one. All right, anybody know what that is? No. Can't use that. A condom. Also, funny, in the right shows, no problem at all. I'll probably use that in the right show. Poopy. Yes, the card says poopy. I will not use that. And here, read it yourself if you can. Takes a little while. Handwriting's not that good. Yep, shower mount for sex toy. I don't think we're going to use that. Okay? So out of the ones that I can't use, there were only 3 that I might use. I won't ever use this one, but I'm just going to look it up. I just want to know what that is. Okay. Here are the ones that I could use from last night. And what I'm going to do for the next show is take 20 of these and commit them to memory using the same peg system, the same different way. So let's say that I decide that number 1's going to be a toothpick. Now remember, number 1's a gun. Imagine a gun shooting toothpicks. Let's say number 2 is going to be a basketball. That's pretty easy. You know, number 2 on the back of his basketball uniform, he's dribbling the ball, and he scores 2 points. So every time I think of 2, I'm going to think of number 2 scoring 2 points, playing basketball. Simple, easy. A pop bottle machine, a pop machine for number 3. So imagine a tree that you put money into it, and it dispenses bottles of soda. So once I commit this to memory, I put them in the order that they need to be in, and those would become the 20 cards that get stuck under there. So every show is different, and every show uses previous information from a previous show that I've already committed to memory. Oh, and then the last part is how you get it in play. Super, super simple. So here's what happens. You collect up all of the cards, and what I typically do is I try to find one that has a fold in it or has something that I can say but can't use. So condom's a perfect example. So as I'm collecting up the cards, I get one of them to the bottom that I can now show the audience, and everybody, you know, I say something about it, I comment on it, and maybe the person who wrote it, I can pick them out, you know. And then I say, no, that one's got a fold in it, so we can't use that one. So now I toss that one aside, like I did with all the other ones, and then I say, let me mix these a little further. So now they're face up. I cut the packet. These go right next to where the hidden ones are. I shuffle them together, which is not easy to do with these kinds of cards. And then I try to pick them up, which is not easy to do. And in doing that, I'm spreading them but keeping them connected together. And right down here at the corner are the ones that are underneath the mat, right there. So all I'm doing is I'm grabbing the corner of those and pulling those out as I'm trying to get this all organized. And then I pinch those and the ones above and I pick them up. And they just pop right out from underneath the mat. I continue by putting all of them in together like this. Then I lay the cards down, so now they're face down, and my stack of 20 are the first ones on top. Now I'm just going to go through and number those. And all I do is I turn them over, I say what it is, and I put the numbers on them as I do that. And I've made sure that some of them are face up and some of them are face down. But let's say you forget that, because every once in a while doing a memory act, you do forget to do the other details. Depending on how you turn these cards, they'll either come out facing the right way, or you can flip them over like that and they'll be upside down, and then you have to turn them around. You have to make it look as natural as possible. But by calling all of them out, now everybody hears them, and it looks like I'm not paying that much attention to them. I don't have to, because I've already got them memorized. When I get to 20, I take the rest of the cards, I get rid of them, and I say, those are the ones that we're going to work with. Everybody in the audience is convinced that that information came from them because it is a random list. And what I'm doing is for real true. Now, what's interesting is you can keep more than one list in your head at the same time. This list will stay in your head for a while you memorize the second list. So, for example, in this case, 1 is a gun. That's clipping the nails, but it's also a gun that shoots toothpicks. That's on the new list. So, in this, it's nail clippers, and in the next list, it's going to be toothpicks. Now, 2 is a shoe, right? You know where that shoe is. That shoe is in a cereal box, right? But 2, shoe, basketball shoes, number 2 on the jersey, it's basketball. It's also cereal box or basketball. 3 is a tree. What are you doing to the tree? Pounding it with a hammer. Tree looks like a hammer. So in this list, it's a hammer. In the other list, what are you doing with the tree? Putting money in it, dispensing soda. It's a soda bottle machine. See? That's the secret. Memorize the list in advance. Switch it in. You can do this backwards, forwards. Any individual item can be pulled out. They can name the item, you can name the number, they can name the number, you can name the item. As soon as you're done, and I think the biggest finish for this is first you do it forwards, boom, 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 as quick as you can. You do that mix in the middle, and then the ending is recite the thing backwards, you blow everybody away, go back into doing your magic.